guys, welcome back to Mitten State Bushcraft. Today we're out here in the Manistee National Forest in Twin Lake, Cedar Creek, and we're going to do a little bit of overnight. I brought Santos Burgess, one of my subscribers, out. He's going to do some camping. I think we're going to build a super shelter. Right now it's March. The days are kind of warm, but the nights will surprise you. They get down into the teens. So we're going to build this a super shelter and see how toasty warm we stay. Stay with us. We've chosen between these two trees to set our ridge line. I'm gonna tie a taut line hitch here, and I'm gonna leave it a little bit loose, and I'll explain why in just a minute. Taut line hitch, or a midshipman's hitch, is similar. Allows you to be able to slide the knot in and out and tighten up the line. But with this one, I'm gonna leave it a little bit loose when I tie the other end. So I tied my taut line hitch or midshipman's hitch. They're very similar on that one. I'm leaving the ridge line slightly loose. I'll explain why after I tie this. Okay. Now, I'm leaving this loose because as we lay the tarp in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop it up through the grommets, and I'm going to use a toggle to tighten the tarp. So this way, once I get all these toggled out all the way across, this should be tight. I might even have to loosen this up even more to get the effect that I want. Show you what we mean in a minute. So basically, because this tarp does not have tabs, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a bit of rope here, or a bite, and I'm going to loop it like this. I'm going to fish it through the grommet. I'm going to use a toggle. Okay. Now I'm going to do this right on down the line. I think we cut enough. We may have to cut a couple more to cover this, but the last one I do, I'll put it in the end and see how that works for me. It's easy enough to remedy, you know. More tarp than we really need here. We'll have to see how that plays out. Now, if you notice, it got a little bit tighter with putting the toggles in. So now this little loop is a lot tighter than the other ones were. Huh. I thought we judged the trees were a little bit further away, but I guess not. Well, part of the problem is we kind of lose some distance because of the type of knots that we tie, and if we tighten this up, you know, tightens up, we lose space between the tree and the tarp. So let me make some adjustments here and see if we can create a little bit more distance for the tarp. So I made one wrapper on the tree And I'm just going to try to secure this with a couple of regular overhand knots and see if that stays tight. So hopefully it does, and it does what I need it to do. If not, we'll try again. Okay, well for now that seems to have worked, so let's see if we can't. That's a problem now. We made up some distance over here, so now we're going to see if we can make up some distance over here. We did not. Well, guess what we could do is we can make a prusik loop, and we can use a backwoods button and secure it right here. I'm not really too concerned, but let's get on it. The sun is going down here, so we really got to get busy. And now I'm going to stake this back a little bit here. We have the remainder folded under for our under tarp here. Now we did bring a smaller tarp just in case, and obviously we have some things to put on the ground to prevent convection and stuff like that. Conduction, excuse me. So we'll see what happens with this. Let me make up a couple stakes here, get this stake back, and this is one of the reasons why I prefer tarps with fabric loops on them sewn in instead of grommets. These things pop out way too easy. Now granted, this isn't some expensive tarp. This is from Harbor Freight, I think. So it's really no big deal. But luckily, we bought this, it is duct tape, but it's kind of reflective. This was chosen because we're going to put the space blanket on the inside of it. And I wanted tape to help that. So I guess I'll just use duct tape and I'll fix this ripped out grommet and then get back to it. It's not really a big deal. It should hold. And if not, we will improvise. Okay, let's see how that works. That should be just fine. Okay, so now we're going to get to work on this part of the shelter, and we'll bring this out. Probably fold. There's a whole lot of tarp left, which I'm pretty surprised. This tarp is a lot bigger than I remember it being. So we'll bring the floor out and then we'll fold it back into the lean-to. So before we pull this out, we have a couple small saplings that we have to clear from over here, or they're going to end up poke through the tarp and end up poking us while we sleep. So let me clear this out and I'll get back. So now we're going to line the back wall with these Coughlin's space blankets. I'm not sure how big they're going to be in this thing, but I did bring two just in case. So I'm going to sneak back behind the camera. Santos is going to come up front and he's going to do a little work right now. No, it does not. So I did decide to put another backwoods button back here and tie this off to keep it taut. So I'm just going to do a simple loop, pull this tight, and then I'm probably going to tie it off to that tree back there. So let's see what we got here. Come on, tighten down. Tighten down. There we go. Oh, came off. Try again. I think I lost my little toggle.
Oh, your toggle broke.
Yep.
Broke right in half.
That's okay. Just give me one half. I did that on purpose, actually.
Oh, okay.
Move that over about over here. Good. Now, try to use this as a stake. Oh, maybe not. Okay, we'll see how that works. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw some duct tape up here to keep the plastic up, and then afterwards we will seal everything up once we know that we've got plenty of duct tape. Every once in a while you'll hear gunfire too. There's a couple different ranges around the area. There's power lines a couple miles that way, and people are constantly shooting during daylight hours. We start hearing gunfire at nighttime. That's a little bit of a concern. Okay, so let me stretch this out and see how this works out. Obviously, we still got to close in the sides. I'm sure there's better ways to do it, but right now we're just going to have to piece in the sides and use some duct tape.
putting this plastic on this side of the tent. I'm going to make this into a door so that way we can go in and out and maybe even open it up for some ventilation if it gets too hot. Hopefully it turns out okay. It doesn't fall on us. If I can get this tape to work with me.
So what are your first impressions of super shelter building?
Well, I've been in it when we're working, and I'm already hot from moving around, but I can already tell it's probably gonna hold in some heat, especially when we start sleeping in it. And I'm very susceptible to the cold, so I'm hoping it does hold in heat.
Yeah, ever since you got hypothermia that one time, you've been really susceptible to it every time, even when it's not really that cold. But with the temperatures dropping down,
Yeah, I can feel it now. Yeah.
I think it was like supposed to drop down to like 21 degrees tonight, with a high of like 39, I believe it was, Fahrenheit. That 21 degrees is going to be awfully chilly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we're burning daylight here. It's taking longer,
Yeah, we are.
but we're going to get a fire going here pretty quickly and sit down for some grub and relax for a little while. Okay, so pretty much see if you can crawl in and out of there.
I'm gonna cut a slit in it.
Do you really want to do that?
I think it'll be okay.
Well, how are we going to secure it closed if it gets too cold?
Or not.
Well, you'll want to. If the temperature drops too much, all our heat will be escaping from there. So pretty much you're just going to crawl in and out of there. There you go. How's your new digs in there?
It's nice and roomy.
Nice and roomy?
Yeah, we got a way down the right side though, because it's pretty loose. And there's a little hole over there.
Okay.
I don't want my ear to get nibbled by a raccoon. So I'll block that off.
Okay, well, we can also put our gear down there.
Yeah, that's true too. And that'll help.
Okay, so let's go over it with some duct tape on some of the seams, and then we will clear out our fire pit area, and we will start us a fire. So while we got daylight left, we're gonna have to go and we're gonna have to collect some firewood. We pretty much got the seams taped up on this, and everything is secure. Now we need some firewood so we can start a fire, get our dinner cooked up, and we'll have a fire tonight so we can stay warm. We'll be back shortly. Gonna go off and find some firewood. What you got there?
Tree limb, apparently.
Okay. It's not enough.
I know. Another one. You hear that?
birch bark ignites nice. Love that stuff. Should have brought the axe. Makes this type of stuff a lot easier, huh?
Yeah. I heard a duck.
There's a duck.
Or a goose.
That doesn't help, huh?
No. It's a pretty strong wood.
This will be good for now. Continue on cutting this one. There we go. That's what I want. I'm taking a picture. So it's about dinner time. The sun's going down. It's a lot darker than it looks, but brought a couple little steaks. Not much tonight. We're gonna put these on the coals and see how they turn out. Santos has a potato in the coals right now, cooking that before his steak. So, and let me wrap this up and throw it on the coals and see how she turns out. Got a couple steaks on the coals and one of Santos's little potatoes. But I'm getting kind of starving here, man. And the temperature is dropping something awful. As soon as that sun went behind the trees over there, it got really cold. So yeah, we made a good decision tonight to sleep in a super shelter, but we got to eat and we got to get this fire stoked back up. Well, it's a little bit more dark, more done than I wanted it to be, but a little pink right there. I guess that would be well done, I guess. Definitely more than I normally eat. I like it medium well, I guess. Let me have this bite here. Pretty tender. Well, I don't know. Losing light here, so I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to film much longer, you know, so My headlamp down here. Get a couple bites of this. Got a nice all-day IPA from Founders Brewing in my bag. I'm probably gonna partake in that here in a minute. But I think we're done filming for now until we get ready for bed, because we're losing light. We got to stoke the fire and finish eating. So talk to you in a while. So we have the fire stoked back up, and we're just sitting down. It's probably 8:45. Just sitting here talking and chilling by the fire. Been a real quiet night so far. Hearing a couple animals here and there, but nothing major. Burgess is over there whittling. Maybe it's time to teach him how to do a tri-stick, huh?
The heck is that?
I'll have to show you. So, yeah, the fire's going. We moved it forward a little bit because we didn't feel any heat sitting right here in front of the shelter. So if we're not feeling any heat sitting right in front of the shelter, we're probably not getting any heat in the shelter. So we want to make sure that we got some heat going on in the shelter tonight. Temperature has dropped pretty well. If you notice, I've stuck my wool boreal on. Burgess stuck his jacket on, and we stoked the fire up. So yeah, it's definitely a lot chillier than what it was earlier on. So we'll have to see how this goes tonight. That's all. Still chilling with my Founders all-day IPA. So what do you think so far?
Fine, actually, right now. I don't know about this thing, though. I'm hoping it warms up like it's supposed to.
We'll see.
If we're doing it right.
We don't have any thermometers or anything, so, we're not going to be able to tell what the temperature is out here and what the temperature is in there, so.
I think we got movement to our right. I think there's like a small animal over there.
Could be.
And then I think we got some kind of owl over there, because I don't think that's a human anymore.
It's very well possible.
Because it's been going for the past like 30 minutes. Non-stop.
Well, there you have it. The camping update according to Burgess. Well, good morning. Well, we made it. There was times where it was a little bit cold, but Burgess got up and he restoked the fire. And that's what it's all about. I mean, it enabled us to survive through the night. And I'm sure if we were staying another night, there would be some improvements that we would make through the night to make it a little bit more warm. Obviously, unless the fire's going, it really doesn't stay warm inside. There's no insulation or anything like that, but it did its job while the fire was going, and at times it was so toasty in there, I was stripped down to, pretty much just my skivvy, so it was pretty warm in there at times. And early this morning it got pretty cold, so Burgess got back up and he stoked up the fire. And here we are. I'm gonna get some water boiled so I can have some coffee this morning. He's gonna eat some oatmeal, I guess, and we're probably gonna take down camp and head on out. So let's ask Burgess how he did last night. So Burgess, how was your first night in the super shelter?
Cold at times. like you said, when the fire's not going, it's not warm at all. Even when you're in a sleeping bag, the only part that's warm is anything below your waist. And then as the longer the fire is out, the colder you get, even when you're in your sleeping bag. And annoying, mostly getting in and out. We had that little door flap and it kept coming off. The tape kept, it was just crap. The tape kept coming out, coming off. The whole side of the door would fall off. And obviously having to crawl in and out just to stoke the fire again. But
What do you think if you had to stay in there another night or two, and you knew that you were going to be out here for another night or two? What kind of improvements would you make on the shelter?
I don't think I'd keep it this way. I think I'd probably tear it down and use logs and stuff like that.
But what if you couldn't use logs? What if you couldn't find enough dead standing out here to be able to do it? I mean, obviously in a survival situation, you know.
Yeah. Well, one, I'd probably change out where the door is, because I can't stand going through the side and having to walk all the way around. I know it's just a little distance, but it's annoying to crawl out the door and come around in the cold. And you got this like gap of, you know, I mean, it's pretty much cold in here anyways, but it's even colder outside when you walk out that door and you got to walk to the fire. And then once you get the fire started, it's all warm by the fire and stuff like that. You don't even want to go back inside, because you know that eventually the fire's going to die and you're going to have to come all the way back out into the cold again.
Well, that's true. Well, let's get our breakfast going here. Water's probably boiling now. If not, it's close. Little Folgers coffee single, when you just want a single cup. Probably could put 2 in this thing, you know? Here. Mix it in there. Toted in 6 bottles of water yesterday, because there is a water source here, but it's probably about, I'd say 3/4 of a mile to a mile that way, and it's not our usual spot where we come out. And even then, our usual spot, we still have a little hike to go down to the creek to get water, so it's just easier to haul in 6 bottles of water and a hike to the creek. So I'm gonna put on some more water. Do you need more water?
No.
That looks perfect. So yeah, let that sit here. Yeah, if I was staying another night, I would probably, in my opinion, I would gather some leaf litter and pine needles and stuff like that, and make a bigger, thicker bed.
Yeah.
Get under, even though you have, I have the climate, we have that two moving blankets actually, but if I was going to stay another night, I would definitely get some leaf litter and pine needles and put in there. And then I also might go about finding me some spruce boughs and maybe layering the top some. And maybe that might keep a little bit more of the heat in. I don't know.
Maybe.
Well. Now we know. I mean, it was cold enough last night. I'm not sure what the temperature got down to last night because we forgot the thermometers, but I think it's March right now, so if it was in the dead of winter, I think we would have had more of a problem last night. We probably would have definitely had to keep this fire closer, and we probably would have had to watch it, around the clock, up and down, or somebody would have had to stand fire watch all night long, or alternate, obviously. And I mean, it could be done, obviously, but it could also get tough if you're not really prepared for it. So it's a good concept. I just think our shelter is lacking. Now, why'd I do that? That fire's getting hot on my knee over here.
It's working.
That's fine, but at this point we should just keep our fire smaller. We don't need a big fire at this point. So pretty much I'm not even going to add any more to this, Heard plenty of wildlife last night, Just this morning we heard turkeys over the ridge. Obviously we heard coyotes all night long. Didn't hear any owls. I've come accustomed to being woken up by 2 owls communicating through the woods, huh? The last 2 times that I've gone out, that's exactly what I've woken up to. Early in the morning, owl over here, owl over there, and they're just communicating back and forth. And it's such an awesome thing to hear. You wake up to it, you hear it, and it puts a smile on your face. Well, I'm going to finish up my coffee here and kick back, enjoy the fire this morning. And then I think we're going to tear down camp and be on our way. What was that? Did you hear that?
I don't know what that is.
Not that. It's the dog man. It's the dog man.
That's in Michigan,
I know, that's why it's the dog man and I didn't say Bigfoot. How many of you guys believe in Bigfoot? or the Dog Man, or the Little Mermaid. I don't necessarily believe in any of them, and I'm not really afraid of any wildlife out here in this section of Michigan, in this location. I mean, although it's possible, we don't have bears roaming right here. Now, slightly north of us, sure, there's bears all over, but they don't really bother me. The type of wildlife that bothers me is two-legged critters, you know. The ones that walk upright. They're the ones that scare me the most. But wildlife don't scare me at all. Obviously grizzly bears and stuff, but I'm not in Alaska or anywhere, or Montana or anything like that, so don't have to worry about a grizzly bear in Michigan. Black bears, yes, depending on where you are. And they can get aggressive once in a while, but you guys know. Black bears, unless you've provoked them or some mama with cubs or whatever, they generally leave you alone. They generally go the other way when they see or hear you. On occasion you have that one that stands their ground, and that's when you need to be smart and get the hell out of the area. Just so quiet out here. Love just being still and listening to the animals, observing. It's so peaceful. It's soul cleansing to get out into the woods. We live such busy lives. Hustle and bustle all the time. People don't enjoy the woods anymore. This is what it's all about. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what we're doing here, like, subscribe, and share. And once again, get outside.